My mom was like, I can't have her in the house. Yeah. And so I've never met her. And I've said in my, adulthood, I'm like, I really need to, I know her name, I'm like, I really need to meet her. But like, we're at the point now, we don't even know if we know how to, I mean, I'm sure I could find her if I really, did the search or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I'm thinking my dad is 84 now. Mm-hmm. So, and, he has dementia and, so mortality, I mean, all this is coming and I'm like, she needs to know this. Like she should know what's going on here.
Because I think that it's
and I feel like I do need to find her. But then there's a family conflict saying that might not even be your dad's, he might never be your dad.
Right,
he didn't marry your mom and stuff, so there's like, what was the time? And so
it's like all this extra shit. And that's what ends up happening. But we are so, as a people, and let me be an African American. This is who we are as a people. We have such an extension of our family, and so sometimes there's secrets, but sometimes there's the unknowing. And so for men, I have some relatives in my family. They've shared. I have a child, but I don't have. Supposedly it's mine. My grandmother would say some shit like, "I have 8 kids. She had 3 girls, and she would count her daughter's kids and say, I know I have 7 grands."
Right.
But she would say, but I can't speak for my son's kids. I'm like, but grandma, he's married to her.
Right.
She's like, but I don't know. Right. But why does she say that? And the truth is because we know that there are women who can have sex with anybody they choose to have sex with. And if the child is born into that marriage, that automatically becomes his. We have family history now where I have cousins. It's like, yes, you're my cousin because he says you're my cousin, but she could very well be somebody else's child. So I think it's that kind of thing. But we are so, as an African American people, we're so inclusive.
I was going to say that our history as a people.
Yes.
I mean, I think you might not have in your immediate family blended. But I can't think of, and I know you're not familiar with it. But if you extend out, I don't know if you don't have that. I mean, like it's and not by necessarily marriage per se, but just by like that whole raising another person's child because that person couldn't. When I look at my cousins and stuff, I mean, it's all over the place, which is, kind of. You have to, I don't know how much people are studying. What is the impact of that?
But see, and that's why this conversation is, I like it.
As people.
Yes, there is an impact. I mean, I think for my family personally, the impact is, it affects the line. It starts to affect the whose do I belong to, how much do you love me, the resentment that we don't even see, like your sister's resentment for your dad, the choices. But guess who she takes that out on? She probably doesn't take it out on him as much as who's being affected by it, her siblings. Exactly. And so that has happened, with my family. You're not taking this out necessarily on those who brought you here. I didn't bring you here. All right? My dad has a daughter with another woman, my sister. I never referred to her as half. She's my sister. But she didn't grow up in a house with us, and she didn't grow up in our. And the same thing, my mother was not very accepting of a child that she didn't give birth to. And we lost that. We were sacrificed that relationship. So now it's different. She doesn't fit in so easily with my other sisters. And her reaction, we had a sister conference call once before, and we've had discussions. You were here. Kizzy visited our home, and there was a dynamic. 2 sisters, different mothers, driving to Chicago, and by the time they got here, all hell broke loose. I'm like, really? And we're having to mediate. Am I exaggerating?
We were mediating.
Yeah, and then my thing is, it doesn't matter. You're all fucking sisters. I could care less. Like, you got to stop this. Right. But in their minds, their trust wasn't there. The acceptance wasn't there. And now you're questioning their agenda.
Well, let me tell you, I have a similar background because my father and mom, they had 2 kids together. Then my father married, and he had 2 children with his second wife. So I have half brother and half sister. My mother had another son who is not my half brother. He's my brother. It's
right.
when it's from your mom, but it's your mother's.
It's your mom.
My father's children are halves, but it what's interesting is I didn't find out until later because, you know, me, I kind of just take things in. It is what it is. You know, this is the way it is. You know, I'm good at accepting things. But I found out with my half sister that when she was growing up, for some reason, she felt like my father loved me more because he would talk about his peachy weechy, you know, and you know, and it's interesting because I didn't have like a great relationship with my father, but you know, hearing her perspective later on, how you know my father would talk about me, and you know, just the way she felt about certain things. Thank God it never really affected our relationship. We're not like, you know, like this and real close, but we are sisters.
Yes.
You know, and you know, we accept that fact, and we, you know, we deal with family, you know,
the dynamics.
Yeah, the dynamics of it all. But sometimes it is the father or the parent that puts those things that you have no idea. You know, why is this person treating me this way? It's because this person's out there saying this and making that other person feel less than.
Yes.
I had no idea.
But here's the thing: if he spoke about you in that way to and it was within the confines of the home, those siblings would not feel it the same way as if there's a child outside the home. For whatever reason, I'm not there. I don't see. I don't get. I didn't have that experience. It just magnifies the fact that I'm an outsider. Yes, that's how they feel.
But I was an outsider because I didn't live in the house. So I mean, I lived with my mother. I didn't live with him.
When he was older, you were like the first daughter.
Oh. But he married, because he married?
He married my mother, and then they divorced. Then he married his second wife. So he had 2 separate families. And then you know, I have an older sister. That's a whole other story. That I mean, just the whole dynamics of the black family. I mean, you can go to every black family and see that. And see that blended family somewhere.
That it exists
somewhere.
Yeah. And the thing about it is, it's kind of crazy how these relationships are connected or even created, but we are all accepting.
We as a people are
We're
very
all
accepting. Yeah. But who do you think helps to make it work? Because who do you think is the person that can make it most effective? And what do I mean by that? I ask this question. My mother. I say my parents are deceased now. But had my mother said, your sister, your children, all of your children are accepted in this house. My sister, she's not, we don't have the same morals and values because she had a different mother and they were in a different time and different space, right? Their mental with the space was, if there wasn't a 2-parent household, maybe her mother, she didn't have the love of my father, whatever she needed. But my sister, her ideology, her thinking, her traditional values are very different. But I wonder if my mother had been accepted. She was not allowed in our home. He was not allowed to talk about her.
Well, that's how my mom. Your mom sounds just like that's exactly my mom. I mean, if I said, and I learned then at a young age, you don't say her name.
Oh, you couldn't say
my
name.
mom just like would go on fire,
Absolutely.
go on fire, and so I got conditioned. I think as a small kid to. Don't mention, I'm not going to say her name on the thing, but don't mention her name. But it's funny you even bring this up because it's become like it's like she doesn't exist, and I don't like that feeling. Because I'm like, that's not right. Like that's something she's a part of me, right? And so I should be trying to find her, and I should be trying to at least reach out and introduce and say, and and I have a unique, I'm not going to say, but I have a unique maiden name for a black person, and so if she's carrying that same last name, I'm sure I can find her. It's probably pretty simple, but I don't think I would have thought of it if I hadn't. Now I'm going to go home and call my sister.
What's funny is my husband and I went to a cookout, and this guy was talking about how he has all these children by different women, and someone was saying, well, how does that work? He's like, oh no, I make it work. They know who each other are related to because I don't want to fucking. I was like,
that's right. No, real. That's real.
That is real. That's real.
Because my son just met his cousin at the Jack and Jill Teen Conference who I guess he had been flirting with, he was like, oh yeah, well we needed to know that. Like, he's known her now for 3 years and didn't know it was his cousin.
But that's important, and so that's the question: is who is in control or who's responsible for bringing it all together?
Well, I say the mother because
the
mother because in my household, which is why I think I am so accepting. My mom never had a problem with my brother and sister, even though my sister was born from a relationship that my father was cheating on my mother. They weren't married yet, but like she caught my sister's mother in the house. It was big old drama. And my sister's mother has never, I mean, she has always been excellent with me. I've never felt unwanted. I never felt like there was no jealousy. I think that when she was through with my daddy, she was through with him. She didn't care that he married my mother and had kids. There was no resentment.
So do you think that maybe sometimes it has to do with if the woman that's connected to the children that are not born in that unit, if there's still a love or an interest, right? So I think my mother was threatened.
Yeah.
I think if my mother could be here, I wonder if she was threatened by my sister's mom.
Yeah.
I do know that my sister's mom was really in love with my dad. And they had I don't know how long their relationship or their affair lasted, but she really was in love with my father. So my mother her thought was, not only do I not want her around, if the child is around, then that means you have interaction, and that's not going to happen. So that was her position. Though, as I got older, I resented the fact that we as the children had to deal with the adult bullshit that was handed down to us, because we had nothing to do with that, but we felt the wrath of that. Like, that's insane that I have to go through this but it's still important. Do I know my sisters? Yes. Do I know? Does everybody get along all the time? Absolutely not. But at least there's a connection. I can reach out and touch her. I can reach out and have a conversation if I needed to. I think that she still has her own issues, but that's not on me anymore. At least I've done what I needed to do. But I think in your situation, Derby, about the male, I found that I've met a couple of men who have children. They're not all by the same women, but he makes it a point to make sure all the children are aware, and he really doesn't give a shit what the mamas have to say. He brings them all into the fold because they're his children.
And one thing, and my father did accept, his second wife had 4 children before they got married, and at my father's funeral, they all got up and said the same thing, that my father embraced all of them.
I love that. I love that. I love that. That's having a man who is willing to stand up and own that. That's one of the things I wish that my dad was alive. I could have said, okay, if I were old enough, like, this is ridiculous. This has got to stop, right? But I do respect the men that will do that. What were you going to say?
So Joy brought this to my attention because I don't think of it as blended family. I do have a sister. I do, and you said
Jeremy.
I'm sorry, Jeremy. I do have a sister that's younger, but I don't think of it as blended. I don't think of it as a blended family. When I think of a blended family, and you went through this before, adoption, foster care, stepchildren. So my dad has another daughter who is my sister. She's the youngest. There are 3 of us, then 1 of her. And he had her outside of my parents' marriage. They were together till the day my father died, but my mother was very accepting of her. Very. She came every summer, for the whole summer. She even lived with us for a time when her mom was having a hard time financially. My father would go there to her, visit with her. I mean, she was close with my dad and close with me and my sisters. We always saw her. She's the closest one to me now. We are very close.
And that's you didn't see it as blended because you didn't see it as
traditional separation.
Yes,
I don't see it. Her mother loved us. We would see her mother. She would love on us. I go visit my sister now. Me and her mother are hanging out. We're very close. And my mother always, and my sister will tell you this today, my mother never treated her any differently than she treated us.
We thought that it was from a national televised standpoint when Jada Pinkett Smith married Will Smith, and she included the older sons or the first child's mother into the fold. We commended that, right? That we just as women don't do it a lot, or we don't talk about it, or we don't want to mention that there's a blend. But I think that's part of the healing. Let's talk about it, because if you don't talk about it, and you got to be honest, Like, I love, somehow you got to get past that.
Yeah.
It may be, I love you because I love your father, or I love you because I love your mother. I love you because I love our family.
Because I don't know how you love a man and not love his child. That's just me, but see, that's me. I raised
You mean true
3
love,
boys.
right? Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, if you love him, how can you not love